If you don't know, there was recently a settlement. The state, with help of the federal government, are paying out $97 million to Flint, and that's supposed to go to replacing the lead and galvanized pipes, and they have till 2020 to do so. So residents, understandably so, don't want to wait another 3 years and having to be on bottled water. That's a separate issue from their medical issues that need to be covered. But I've spoken with independent people, including Harold, who say this could be done well under 3 years. This is Harold Harrington. You are with the local plumbers union. Which number?
370.
370. So we were talking. I failed math, but you put it pretty easily. It's really not a matter of that they can't do it. They can't do it under 3 years. It's a matter of they don't have the proper. They're not investing the proper personnel in doing it.
Yeah, we could man up on this job. Like I said over a year and a half ago at the first town hall they had, we could have 50 crews in here and get it done in less than 2 years easily. But they wasted last year. They only did, 600 lines in a year. They really need to man up and get it done. And if we got to stay on these filters till it's done, there's no reason. It'd be cheaper to get it done sooner. Then you wouldn't have to maintain the filters and all the other support crew you got in town for 3 years.
So basically, if they only did like 600 pipes last year, how many people are on a crew, and how many crews did they have working on it?
There's approximately 5 on a crew, counting the operator and the guy doing the boring and then the people digging the hole. And it takes about 5 per crew, and you can usually do 2 or 3 a day per crew. This year they're going to have 10 different zones they're going to work on, and they want to get 4.3 done in each zone a day. So they're only going to have basically 20 crews around the whole city this year. I mean, we could man up. We could get it done a lot quicker.
But they do have the money. I mean, it was just granted to them through the settlement. So the fact is, it seems like there's no urgency for them to get it done. It's not a lack of money.
No, it is a monumental task, but they're basically skipping houses if they don't have the signatures to get it done. They're not doing the houses if they don't have a water bill that's up to date and paid off. I mean, they're wasting a lot of time because they should start at one end of the street in every zone and just do every one of them. Because even if you don't do one, with the water main breaks in town, every time the water main breaks, you lose pressure and it backs up into the main. So if you don't replace your neighbor's line, you could still get contaminated by your neighbor's line.
Right. And also, there's the issue of you have to strike while the weather's hot, so to speak.
Yeah, you've only got about 140 working days per year. So you really need to man up and get it done. And they're saying there's 18,000 of them. I seen a report 2 months ago that they could be up to 30,000 of them. So they're saying
These are the service lines.
Yes, the service lines. And they are changing the lead and the galvanized. They're not changing the copper. But they're not addressing the galvanized pipes that actually enters the house. Mm-hmm. A lot of these houses built before 1960 have galvanized plumbing inside the house. It's the same contaminations went through these houses through no fault of the homeowners. They're not addressing that either.
So basically, some of the folks I've heard from say, well, they want people from Flint doing these jobs because we need people, we need jobs here. So that's part of why they just don't have enough manpower. What do you have to say to that?
I've got a lot of applicants that I could put in the apprenticeship program from Flint right now that are itching to go to work. It's not that I can't get them working. It's we have to have the work available to put them to work. Mm-hmm. I want to get Flint residents trained. We brought 5 apprentices in last year for the little bit of what we had to do. If we had more, we could put more apprentices to work, and they would, when this was over, they would actually be in an apprenticeship program where they could get a career out of what they're learning. This is just a small part of what we do, but we teach them a lot of other things as far as plumbing and pipe fitting.
But excuse my French. I mean, it sounds like bullshit to me. Congress granted $100 million to Flint, and now you have $97 million through this settlement. So there's money. I don't know where they're allocating it to because they're not so transparent, but there is money, and the top infrastructure issue would be the pipes, correct?
Yeah, you need to get the lead and the galvanized pipes out of the ground first. Mm-hmm. Then you're probably going to have an issue because the pipe system's way oversized for the population we got now. That's why you're seeing a lot of bacteria in the lines because the chlorine only lasts so long. Some of this water is sitting in these mains for 30 days. So you're losing the chlorine, you're getting the bacteria growing. That's what we found when we started in October of 15 putting filters on because people couldn't do them themselves. We seen a lot of the rashes, the asthma, the health issues that wasn't caused by the lead. That's why we started investigating, because we took the EPA and the DEQ's word that the water was safe. I should have got involved a lot earlier than I did. But once I found out and seeing what was going on, that's when I started working with Scott Smith and testing for a lot of other things that they weren't even looking for.
And the national media doesn't really focus on the bacteria. The state officials don't talk about the bacteria. But as they've been coating the pipes, camp. As
We will not allow harmed people. We don't allow drinking. We don't allow anybody.
there you go. As the pipes were recoated, aren't what the chemicals they're putting in there, aren't they creating more issues?
Well, the phosphate is a food for bacteria. I mean, that's proven fact, and you can't recoat the galvanized. We talked about that on Rachel Maddow over a year ago. I asked that specific question to Mark Edwards about the galvanized pipes, and he said it is an issue, and he just released another study saying that that's where the particulate lead is coming from now, because it's too hard to recoat the galvanized. They need to come out. They need to come out now, and the iron that is actually collected on the galvanized is a food for bacteria also.
Now, broader picture, because I'm trying to make the audience understand. It's, yes, this issue is right now Flint, but it's not like the majority of the towns or cities in America have pipes 5 years old. You're talking 50, 60, 70 years old.
The reason Flint became such an issue is because the whole system was contaminated. That corrosive water affected every house, every building in Flint. You got old infrastructure in this whole country, and if you get the wrong pH coming from the treatment plant, because that's the only place they test. They test at the treatment plant to see if everything's good. They don't test in individual houses unless they've got a reason to do so. That's one reason we are actually working with Scott Smith and the Plumbers National Union. We have over 300,000 members in the United States and 50,000 in Canada. We want to be able to test this, because if you want your water tested, you're either relying on the EPA or the DEQ or somebody. If you want to be able to test your water and know exactly what's in it, you should be able to call somebody and do that for a reasonable cost, and that's what we're trying to do nationally, so this doesn't happen again, because there is a lot of old infrastructure in this country.
But also, and I'm no scientist or engineer, but Scott put it this way, like Jesus can bless the water at the treatment plant. The water could be very clean and pure at the treatment plant, but if it's then going through these 60, 70, 80-year-old pipes, and there's lead kind of dislodging into the water, other things, if there's construction being done that kind of moves around the pipes, doesn't matter how well it is at the treatment plant, there are some possibilities of contamination past that.
Yeah, like I said, it just takes one or 2 weeks where they got bad pH coming out of the plant that could loosen this up everywhere. And then they correct it, and you don't know what damage is done to the infrastructure outside of the plant. That's why, we've been called, and Scott's been called, we're fear mongers, because we're actually testing for things that nobody else is tested for.
Well, the EPA says we're testing based on the regulations.
Right. And one thing I found out, there is no bathing and showering standards. They're testing, when they come to my house tested at 151 parts per billion lead. So they come out to my house, and the first thing they did was hand me a paper saying it was safe to bathe and shower in before they even walked in my door. And that's when I got a hold of Scott and said, hey, how can they tell me it's safe to bathe and shower in before they walk in, and then when they do walk in, they take cold water out of my kitchen sink? I said, what happens in the water heater? What happens in the hot water showers? I mean, I seen it when I was out putting these filters on. I seen all the people that were sick with stuff they never had before.
And also, it's kind of dangerous to unilaterally say, you're fine if you use a filter. Maybe it stops almost all lead, but that doesn't mean it completely stops bacteria and other things.
Yeah, that's what Wayne State has found out when they're in here testing these filters. The filters do collect bacteria, and you do get bacteria out of these.
But that's the insanity, and this isn't you, but, whether it's intentional or not, the citizens here have to still be relying on the government to tell them when something is safe or is not, but the government has been wrong every step of the way. So it's insanity to keep on relying on whether it's the EPA, the Department of Environmental Quality, I mean, you might get a better read on it from the local guy at the gas station at this point. And that's what's so troubling, because you have government officials, who knows if they're really testing thoroughly enough or not. I don't think they are. There's evidence that they're not. But these are the people that you are entrusting with your children and your elders and yourself. So do you think, let's say you moved it up to 40 to 50 crews every year, it could be done by middle of 2018, 2019?
Yeah, if we had 50 crews going right now, it would be done in less than 2 years, like I said a year and a half ago. I mean, we just got to get going on it. And it is a monumental task, but it can be done. Construction workers, this is what we do. Okay, we have deadlines to meet. We man up to meet the deadlines. You don't just drag it on just because, I mean, they've got the money now. I mean, do it now, get it done, then you won't have to have all this support crew in town for 3 years. It would probably save money. Yeah. And the one thing about the testing, okay, when I was a kid, I used to be afraid of the dark. I thought there was a monster in my closet, okay? Finally, my mom started turning the light on in my closet, and I was able to sleep. What we're doing, we're testing. We're just turning the light on. You don't know what's in the water until you test for it. That's, there could be a monster in the closet. Maybe there's not, but you should test for it.
Well, our fearless leader, President Trump, he likes to, talk big about we're gonna fix this country, the airports, the highways. It's a mess, and he wants to do this big infrastructure. Well, I would say start with Flint, Michigan, because it is a mess through no faults of the citizens. So I think, in addition to putting pressure on the governor of Michigan, the mayor of Flint, who residents aren't so happy with, our national government, and the president, who has staked his claim on life, on being the best builder out there. It's very simple, like he said. Just one more question. So if they change the service lines, you were talking about a lot of the home lines are not being looked at. They need to change everything.
If you have galvanized in your house and they change the galvanized service line, that same water that messed up that galvanized service line messed up your plumbing inside your house. I mean, it's a given. It's the same water. That galvanized collected lead over the last 80 years, and it's all been released because of that corrosive water that ran through there for 18 months. So they admitted there's a problem with the galvanized lines in the yard. There's a problem with the galvanized in your home. And it's, somebody should take care of that too, but I haven't heard anybody address that.
Harold Harrington, Local 370. How easy would it have been for CNN to have this guy on 2 years ago? I know it's not sexy what he's saying, but it's important. So thank you. I appreciate it. I'll be in touch.